constituents across the board are asking for help. I think this bill, House Bill 1, does that, and I ask you to join me in pressing the green button.
Is there further debate? Gentleman from 35.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to debate briefly. My constituents in my area, when I talked to them about the $300, they were elated. They were so grateful to get a little bit. I want to see the budget for 5 years, how much cash we have in the account at the end of each year with this ongoing spend, and how's the state of Idaho going to fare after we spend this money on education. I was amazed. We did I think it was a 1 or 2% projection on income over the next 5 years from the sales tax and from income tax. We did a 5% increase in expenses over the next 5 years, and they still had over $300 million at the end of the day in their cash account. We usually budget for $200 million. When I first got here, we budgeted for $100 million. If we had $100 million left over at the end of the year, after income came in and expenses went out, we were golden. My concern was, what happens if the economy went down like it did in 2007, 2008, 2009, when this legislature had to go back in and take money back from education? What would that look like? On these projections that I looked at, we would, with our rainy day funds, we would be able to sustain our cash balances through another recession. That gave me comfort. That let me know that it's okay to spend that money and to earmark it for education, and know that we call it, and I heard it called this in the committee, we call it an investment in education. Well, I'm an investment advisor, and when I say investment, I expect a return on my investment. Idaho over the years has done a pretty good job of getting a return on their investment. We have some of the best children, I would bet, in all 50 states. And I would also bet that we have some of the best teachers in all 50 states. And as I've reviewed, and I've reviewed almost every income statement of every district in the state of Idaho, and I can tell you they're spending that money as thrifty as they can. They're trying to make ends meet as best they can. They have inflation going up on fuel, on salaries that they try to cover. They have inflation items on utilities. These schools I would bet that most of the money we're allocating is going to go just to cover some of the inflation costs in our systems. The investment on our return is outstanding. Our district's superintendents do a marvelous job of managing that cash. I hear us say that we're not getting the best investment from the money. I challenge you to review those income statements. It's amazing what those business managers get done with the amount of money that they have. Now, is there fluff in that system? Probably. If I went in and as a business manager and I looked at those income statements and balance statements, could I cut some costs out of that if I consolidated districts or I consolidated some of the other areas? I probably could. But they do a pretty good job with the cards we've dealt them. I'm elated with this bill. This is a good bill, Mr. Speaker. Let's have it pass.
Is there further debate for the first time? Good lady from District 35 for the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it'll probably be the last time I speak. But as the debate has been going on, I've thought of just 3 more quick points. As many of you know, I work in a school district, and I do support our teachers. In the news, in our local news in southeastern Idaho, there have been 3 examples I'll just share. We've got this huge local stadium and field house that's paid for with education dollars. There's an athletic complex that's going to be built in a neighboring city. Education, they said $2 million going to that. There's updating going on another football field. I like sports, but we're talking about teachers getting pay, and we're spending all this money on athletic complexes and stuff. To me, that is not a value for our education. I think we're throwing money at things that we should not be doing. So that's that point. As far as money going to our counties, and with our couple of my law enforcement officers have told me our counties in my district run pretty frugally, and we keep losing officers in our sheriff's office because they can't pay them. We don't have the money in our counties, and yet we have money for other things. The last point is my husband talked to county clerk, and she said that 28 people are losing their circuit breaker in our county. That's a lot of pain. I just don't think we should be going on and on. The schools, I think that we, as the good lady from 30, there needs to be a change in the funding. So that's a big reason for me to vote no. And I have really appreciated serving, and I want my constituents to know that I'll serve them till the 30th of November. Thank you.
Is there further debate for the second time? Hearing none. Would the gentleman like to? Your declaration will be noted in the journal. Is there further debate? Hearing none, will the gentleman from 21 please stand and close the debate?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the lively debate. It sounds as though you all know what's in the bill. Some good stuff. So with that, I'd ask for your green light. Thank you.
Thank you. Debate is closed. The question before us is, shall House Bill number 1 pass the House? So we can't vote without, we're Pavlovian. We've got to have, now we can vote. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will record the votes. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. The vote count shows 55 in favor with 15 against. House Bill number 1 has passed the House and we transmitted to the Senate. Without objection, the House will now return to the fourth order of business, consideration of messages from the governor and from the Senate. The House is at the fourth order. Now we're going to recess, correct? Gentleman from 14.
Mr. Speaker and members of the House, point of personal privilege.
You have the floor.
It is our intention now to see what happens on the Senate side. They'll go through what we went through. So I think they'll have more fun. I'd encourage you to stick around. We're not going to adjourn. We'll just stay at ease, subject to call the chair. So pay attention to what's going on, and when the time comes, or if the time comes, we'll come back. With that, Mr. Speaker, I ask you to put the House at ease, subject to call the chair.
Are there any announcements? No. The House will be, good lady from 34, placing the gavel to the mallet. Is there an announcement?
An announcement, please, Mr.
You have the
Speaker.
floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm about to hit send on some facts on education spending in Idaho, historical and current. I think as we move forward with this conversation, we ought to start with the facts, and they'll be in your inbox shortly.
Thank you. The House is at ease, subject to call of the chair.